Just after that happened, of course, there was a lot of to and from him from the hospital because he was in a coma for, I don't know, about 2 weeks, something like that. And it was just after that that my wife became a Christian. She's got her own testimony, so I won't go into that now, but just to let you know, she asked Jesus into her life, and I think she was suitably stunned at that point by the change in her and the things that were going on. She asked me to go to church 2 or 3 times, but no, I'll take you there and I'll come and pick you up afterwards. And it was a little bit confusing because sometimes I'd pick her up and she'd be bawling her eyes out. Sometimes I'd pick her up, she'd be laughing. Sometimes I'd pick her up and she'd be doing both, or she'd just have a blank expression on her face. And it was kind of like, you know, and my kids were saying, because we've got 3 children, my kids were saying to me, watch her, it's some kind of cult. You know, you don't know what's going on, keep an eye on her. Okay, and and that's what I do, don't worry. You know, I didn't think that at all, but it wasn't really interesting me because the last time I'd looked at a Bible was at school, and then we read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation as if it was some kind of novel. There was no teaching as such. Anyway, one of the times I was working in Europe, singing and playing, I was in Switzerland, and I was in a hotel room, and I had about an hour or so to go before showtime, and I was bored. Nothing on TV that I could understand, and nothing to do. And I found a Bible in the drawer, and you know, I thank the Gideons for that, because if it wasn't for them, there's a lot of people who wouldn't spot a Bible. And because I was bored and I just had nothing to do, I thought, well, let's have a flick. And I did. I flicked and I flicked. And you know, God speaks to you through his word. Sometimes he shouts at you when you're not expecting it. And I flicked and I got to Acts. And can I borrow somebody's Bible for a second? I can read it out. Thank you. Cheers. I might have to go and get my glasses. I should find it. Yeah, came to Acts, and it was way back here. Basically, there it is. I saw the Lord always before me. That bit, and I can't read it without my glasses. I'm sorry. But when I read that, and I thought, that's speaking to me. I don't know why, but it's actually speaking to me. So I got some paper and I wrote it down, put it in my wallet. Got home, told the wife, she was really pleased with me. You know, that's fantastic. Did you want to go to church then? No, you're all right, I'll take you there and I'll bring you back. But our church used to hold meetings on a Sunday evening as well in a school in town. And I went to 2 or 3 of those, and you know, at the end of each meeting there was an altar call, and it was everybody bow your head, close your eyes, say this prayer. And I'd done it 2 or 3 times, different times that I'd been. And I don't really think that I'd taken much notice of it other than just repeat what was being said. One meeting that the church held was at the Guildhall in Southampton. It's quite a big place. And they had a guy from Louisiana speaking. Oh, that was me. A lot of blues in Louisiana, I'll go. This could be good. And I remember who it was speaking. It's Jesse Duplan. I didn't tell you what he spoke about. I don't remember a thing about the evening, other than the place was so packed that there was barely any standing room. And I spent the whole meeting trying to figure out how a lot of the top bands of the day would only half fill that place, and yet here's a preacher and the place is packed. And I just couldn't get that, you know. Anyway, time goes on and not much longer. came to Tuesday the 27th of March, and the church had booked a comedian to give his testimony. And this particular comedian I quite enjoyed, so I said, I want to go, I'm going to go. The wife wanted me to anyway, but this was no problem, she didn't have to force me, I wanted to go. It's Bobby Ball. And if any of you have seen Bobby Ball give his testimony, it's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious, but very powerful as well. And at the end, they gave an altar call, and again, I sort of, like this, said the prayer. And I was probably, like I tried to say this the other day, if we're here, so you're on the end row, Tom, isn't it? You're on the end row. Yeah, well, if you go back about another 4 rows, that's how far away I was from the podium at the front. And all these people had said the prayer, and they're all going forward, and I'm doing this, trying to see who's going forward. And I thought, well, they're only going forward because he's famous. They just want to go and meet him. And I don't know, I've got a feeling that, it's inevitable. I'm obviously going to become a Christian at some point, but it won't be tonight because he's famous and they just want to go and meet him. When I'm ready, I'll do it, and it'll be quiet and peaceful, and nobody. I'll just go and do it. And I'm there, and this is I can't explain this. I'm just stood there at the end on the row like that. And whilst my mind is saying, yeah, you'll do it one day when you're ready, but the next thing I remember, I'm stood in front of the podium looking up at the preacher. And I'm thinking, I didn't move. Never moved a muscle, not to my knowledge. But there I was in front of him, and he's shaking my hand, and I'm stood there with my mouth sort of like, and they sent me out the back to pray for me and tell me, you're a Christian now, you've given your life to Jesus, and your life is going to change. That was on a Tuesday evening. On the Friday, around about lunchtime, I realised I hadn't sworn since Tuesday night. Not a word, not one, not even the slightest, the little ones, none of them. And much like Gary, I used a few in my time, especially around other musicians. So that was the start, and I thought, well, this is good, yeah. And I stopped, at one point I was drinking Jack Daniels, not as a morning and lunchtime and evening job, but just when I was out on gigs. And it'd be Jack Daniels too, and eventually I got a guy to drive me around because it was safer. That stopped, and for some strange reason I went on to red wine. Now, again, it wasn't like, get a bottle of wine from Sainsbury's and start and carry on through the week. It was just, once or twice during the week in the evening, I'd share a bottle of wine with the wife, and we'd sit there with our Bibles, we'd have some music playing, and we'd discuss the Bible, we'd discuss Jesus, we'd talk. And I thought, it's okay, it's good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for me.
Amen.
Oh yeah. And one of these occasions we're sat there and we're doing the same, we're listening to music and just discussing God and God's word in general. And my wife had got to almost the end of her first glass, and I'd had a mouthful, and she said, "You're not going to drink that?" And I picked it up and put it down again. I said, "I don't want it." And that's it. I've touched no alcohol since. I thank God because, it's a clean world that I'm looking at now. From my point of view, I'm looking at myself as being clean in that respect. I've got no problems with people that like a pint. It doesn't bother me at all. It bothers them that I won't drink. That's the weird thing. It bothers them. You carry on. I don't care. Smoking. I used to smoke. At one point we were at a show and I had a patch on my arm. I had a little ball bearing in my ear that I was told if you press on that it will relieve the desire for a cigarette. I was chewing Nicorette and I had a cigarette in my hand. It's true. The bass player said, you're going to OD on that stuff. Well, I know, I was delivered from that. I know people were praying for me. This was before I became a Christian, by the way. People were praying for me in that respect as well, and that stopped. So